Hello and welcome back. In this video, we'll be looking at more Greek vocabulary, this time about the cosmos and the elements. Ha uranos is sky or heaven, and usually this appears in the plural with a singular meaning. So hoi uranoi means sky or heaven, singular. We need to keep in mind, of course, that really there was no separate word for heaven in antiquity, and that whenever we see in English translations a reference to heaven, we're really seeing a reference to the sky, what's above the earth. It may well be that by the time of the New Testament, people were sophisticated enough to think of God's heavenly temple not being literally in the sky we can see, but in another dimension or a higher level. But the word that's used is still the word for sky, ha uranos. Uranios, uranie, uranion, is an adjective that then means heavenly, or having to do with the sky. Ha helios is one of the primary bodies that circuits the sky, and this is the sun. He Selene is its counterpart, the moon. And ha aster is a star. This is a third declension noun, and the real stem is aster, with an epsilon instead of the eta. So the genitive is asteros, and the dative would be, in the plural dative, would be astrasi. Notice how that epsilon drops out in the dative plural for the ease of pronunciation. If we talk about light and darkness, one of the first words to come to mind would be hadzophos. This is gloom or shadow or shade. The general idea of darkness, more generally, is toskotos. This is a third declension noun, and the genitive is skotus, and the nominative and accusative are both the same, since this is a neuter noun, so both would be just skotos. Photidzo is a verb meaning to light or brighten or enlighten. And the first aorist here is ephotisa, and remember that the zeta at the end of the stem will be hidden behind the sigma of the tense marker. Taphos is light, and this is where we get words like photon or photography. In Greek, this is a third declension noun, and the real stem is phot. So the genitive is photos, and the nominative and accusative are phos, again because it's neuter, and the accusative takes the same form as the nominative. Phino is another word similar to photidzo, but now the emphasis isn't on bringing light to something, but on simply shining. And phino can also mean to appear. The second aorist of phino is ephanon, and the aorist stem then is phan, the iota dropping out in front of the nu. Hakosmos is the world, or the cosmos. Hegaia is land or country. Tahupsos is height, in the sense of a high place. And this is a third declension noun of the genos type, so the genitive would be to hupsus. Tobathos is depth, and if tahupsos is a high place or altitude, then tobathos is either a deep place or just depth. This is another third declension neuter of the genos type. Hege is one of the elements. This is the earth or land. And the same word is used when you're referring to all of the earth, the whole world, or just to dirt, the soil on a farmer's field is also hege. Tahudor is water, and this is where we get words like hydraulic from. Hudor, hydraulic. He nephele is cloud, and ha animos is wind, as in things being animated. They're moving about like the wind. Finally, tapur is fire. And that spelling isn't quite as strange when you keep in mind that P, the plosive made with your lips, in the history of languages often softens to a F sound. So if we soften that P, we get fir, which sounds a lot like fire. This is another third declension neuter noun. The nominative and accusative singular will be the same, tapur, and the genitive will be puros. The stem, the real stem, is just pur. Creation and the origin of things was fascinating to people in antiquity, both in the Greco-Roman world and in Hebrew tradition. The basic word for create is ktizo, meaning I create, I make, or I shape. Notice the future is ktiso, and the first aorist is ektisa, in both cases because the zeta, when it's followed by the sigma tense marker, is hidden. The pronunciation of ktizo is a little bit tricky, but you can think of the kappa tau combination a little bit like the CT in the word act, except that the CT sound is at the beginning of the word, so it's ktizo. The corresponding noun is hektisis, creation or shaping. And this is a third declension noun of the polis type. So, for example, the nominative plural will be haiktises. Hearche can mean beginning or first, but it can also mean a power or an authority or a ruler. And in the New Testament, there's often quite a bit of ambiguity when there's reference to archai, the powers, whether we're talking about human rulers or spiritual powers. Ha'aion, then, is an age or an era, and can also mean, like arche, a power. This is another third declension noun, this time of the Simon type, and the nominative form aion is actually the real stem. So the genitive would be to aionos. If we want to talk about the realms above and below the earth, in addition to the word uranos, we might want to talk about ha paradesos. Now, this is a general word for an enclosed park, garden, or orchard, but in Jewish tradition, can also refer to the Garden of Eden, and by extension to a place of blessing where the souls of the righteous might be kept prior to the final judgment. On the other hand, Hades means Hades, or the underworld, or the grave. And the idea of Hades in Greek tradition is very similar to Sheol in the Old Testament. This is one of these unusual masculine nouns that takes first declension endings. And so the genitive looks second declension, hadu, but beyond that, we revert to first declension endings, even though we're going to use the masculine definite article. So it'll be to hade in the dative singular, ton hadain in the accusative singular, etc. Hege'ena means Gehenna, or a place of punishment, or hell. And this is a Hebrew loan word that really refers to the Hinnom Valley, one of the valleys that ran alongside the ancient city of Jerusalem. This was used as a garbage dump in the 1st century, and fires would continually smolder on the garbage that was left there, providing a really evocative metaphor for a place of punishment or torment. The genitive here, because of the end of the stem, is going to be hegenes, and the rest of those singular endings will be eta type endings rather than alpha.